You've been taught your entire life that selfishness is evil, that putting yourself first makes you a monster, that caring about your own happiness is morally wrong. And because of that belief you sacrifice. You say yes when you mean no. You drain yourself for people who don't appreciate it. You feel guilty every time you choose yourself. But what if everything you were taught about selfishness was wrong? What if Ayn Rand's most controversial book title wasn't shocking ... but accurate? In this video, I'm going to explain what Ayn Rand actually meant by the virtue of selfishness, and why understanding this concept could completely change how you see your own life, your relationships, and your right to exist for your own sake. This isn't about being cruel. It's not about using people. It's about something far more important and far more rational. Let's break it down. Here's the problem with how we understand selfishness. From the time you're a child, you're taught that selfishness means hurting others to get what you want. Taking the last piece of cake, lying to save yourself, throwing someone under the bus to get ahead. You're taught that selfish people are manipulative, cruel, destructive, that they use people as tools and discard them when they're done. And you know what? That definition isn't completely wrong. Those behaviors are destructive. They do hurt people. But here's where it gets twisted. You're also taught that the opposite of that evil selfishness is sacrifice. That morality means putting everyone else first. That a good person gives until it hurts, and then gives some more. Your parents tell you to think of others before yourself. Your teachers praise you when you share, even if you didn't want to. Religion tells you that self-denial is holy. Society tells you that ambition is greedy and wanting more is shallow. So you learn to feel guilty for wanting things, for having boundaries, for saying no, for choosing your own happiness. You learn that being a good person means making yourself smaller, quieter, less demanding. And this creates a massive problem. Because now you're stuck between two options. Either be a destructive monster who uses people, or be a martyr who erases yourself for everyone else's benefit. Those are your choices. Evil selfishness or noble sacrifice. But Ayn Rand saw something everyone else missed. She saw that this entire framework is wrong. That we've confused two completely different things and called them by the same name. And once you see what she saw, everything changes. So what did Ayn Rand actually mean by the virtue of selfishness? Let's start with her exact words. Ayn Rand defined rational selfishness as concern with one's own interests. That's it, concern with your own interests. But here's the key word, rational. Rational selfishness means pursuing your genuine long-term self-interest through reason. Not through force. Not through fraud. Not through manipulation. Through reason. Let me break this down into 3 parts so you understand exactly what this means. Part 1. Your life is your own. Ayn Rand believed that your life belongs to you, not to your family. Not to society, not to God, to you. You didn't ask to be born, but you're here. And the only person who has to live every single second of your existence is you. That means you have the right to live for your own sake. To pursue your own happiness. To build a life that fulfills you. This isn't about ignoring other people. It's about rejecting the idea that you exist as a servant to others. That your purpose is to be used. Part 2. Rationality is the foundation. Rational selfishness isn't about doing whatever you feel like in the moment. It's not about impulse or whim or emotional reactions. It's about using your mind to figure out what actually serves your life. What actually makes you happy in the long run. A rational person doesn't steal because living in fear of consequences destroys your peace. A rational person doesn't lie to friends because trust is valuable and relationships built on lies collapse. A rational person doesn't chase short-term pleasure that leads to long-term destruction. They think. They plan. They consider consequences. Rationality means looking at reality as it is and acting in accordance with it. Part 3. It's a trader principle. Rand believed in what she called the trader principle. This means you deal with others through voluntary exchange, not through force or sacrifice. You offer value and receive value in return. You work for a paycheck. You give love and receive love. You provide friendship and receive friendship. There's no masters and slaves, no users and victims. Just people trading value for value. This is the opposite of what most people think selfishness means. Now let me be crystal clear about what rational selfishness is not. It is not using people. That's parasitism, and it's self-destructive. It is not lying or cheating. That's irrational because it destroys your ability to function in reality. It is not cruelty or indifference to suffering. A rational person values human life and doesn't want to see destruction. It is not sacrificing others to yourself. Rand rejected sacrifice in both directions. You don't exist for others, and others don't exist for you. Rational selfishness means living as a sovereign individual who respects the sovereignty of others. It means building a life you actually want to live, through your own effort, by your own mind, for your own sake. And here rests what most people miss. This is the only way to actually be good to other people. Because you can't give what you don't have. You can't love others if you hate yourself. You can't help others if you've destroyed yourself through constant sacrifice. The virtue of selfishness isn't about being evil. It's about being rational enough to see that your life matters, that you matter, and that you have every right to act like it. Let me show you exactly what rational selfishness looks like in real life. 3 situations where most people sacrifice themselves, and what changes when you apply Rand's actual philosophy. Application 1. The relationship. Sarah has been dating Michael for 2 years. He's not a bad person. He doesn't cheat. He doesn't yell. But he also doesn't share her interests, doesn't support her goals, and the relationship feels flat. Her friends tell her she's lucky to have someone stable. Her mother says relationships take work and she should be grateful. Society tells her that leaving someone just because you're not happy is selfish, so Sarah stays. She tells herself she's being mature, reasonable, not shallow. But here's what rational selfishness would say. Your happiness matters. Your life matters. And spending years in a relationship that doesn't fulfill you is not noble, it's destructive. You're not doing Michael a favor by staying with him out of obligation. You're lying to him. You're wasting his time too. He deserves someone who actually wants to be with him, not someone who stays because leaving would make her feel guilty. Rational selfishness means being honest. It means saying, this relationship doesn't work for me. I care about you, but I need to leave. That's not cruelty, that's integrity. And notice, this benefits both people. Sarah gets to find someone she's actually compatible with. Michael gets to find someone who genuinely wants him. Nobody is using anyone. Nobody is being sacrificed. That's what the traitor principle looks like in relationships. You're there because you want to be, or you're honest enough to leave. Application 2. The family. David's parents expect him to visit every Sunday. They call multiple times a week. They get upset if he makes other plans. They say family comes first, and if he really loved them, he'd make time. David has a demanding job. He's building a business. He values his weekends because that's when he gets to recharge and work on his goals. But every Sunday, he drives an hour to sit through dinner where his parents criticize his choices, ask when he's getting married, and make him feel like he's never doing enough. He resents it, but he goes. Because saying no would be selfish, right? Wrong. Rational selfishness says, your time is yours. Your parents don't own your life because they raised you. You didn't sign a contract at birth to sacrifice your adulthood to their expectations. A rational approach looks like this. David sets a boundary. I can visit once a month. I'll call once a week. But I need my Sundays to work on my business and recharge. His parents get upset. They call him selfish. They guilt trip him. And here's where rational selfishness gives you clarity. Their feelings are not your responsibility. You're not being cruel. You're not abandoning them. You're being honest about what you can give. If they can't respect that, the problem isn't your selfishness. The problem is their belief that they're entitled to your life. Rational selfishness doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means having relationships where both people respect each other's autonomy. Where love is given freely, not extracted through guilt. Application 3. The workplace. Jennifer is the person everyone comes to at work. Someone needs help with a project? Jennifer. Someone needs coverage for a shift? Jennifer. Someone needs someone to organize the team event? Jennifer. She says yes because she doesn't want to be seen as difficult. She says yes because she wants to be liked. She says yes because saying no feels selfish. And meanwhile, her own work suffers. She's exhausted. Her performance reviews are average because she's too busy helping everyone else to excel at her own job. Rational selfishness completely reframes this. Your job is to do your job well. Not to be everyone's backup. Not to light yourself on fire to keep others warm. A rational approach. Jennifer starts saying no. I can't take that on right now. I'm focused on my own deadline. I'm not available to cover that shift. I won't be organizing the event this year. People are shocked. Some get angry. They call her selfish. They say she's changed. And she has changed. She stopped volunteering to be used. Here's what happens next. Jennifer's own performance improves. She gets recognized. She gets promoted. And the people who are using her goodwill, they figure out their own problems, like adults. Rational selfishness doesn't mean refusing to help ever. It means understanding that you're not responsible for solving everyone else's problems at the expense of your own success. You trade value for value. You help when it's genuinely beneficial to both of you. But you don't sacrifice yourself to prop up people who won't help themselves. In all three of these situations, notice what's happening. Nobody is being used. Nobody is being sacrificed. People are dealing with each other honestly, as equals, respecting each other's right to their own lives. That's what Ayn Rand meant by rational selfishness. Not cruelty. Not exploitation. But the refusal to treat yourself as less important than everyone else. Now let's address the two biggest objections people have when they hear about rational selfishness. Objection 1. But what about helping others? Are you saying we should never be charitable or kind? This is the most common misunderstanding, so let me be very clear. Ayn Rand never said you shouldn't help people. She said you shouldn't sacrifice yourself to them. There's a massive difference. Sacrifice means giving up something you value for something you don't value. It means making yourself worse off to make someone else better off. But helping someone you care about isn't sacrifice. If your friend is going through a hard time and you spend an evening listening to them, that's not sacrifice. You value your friend. You value their well-being. You're acting on your own values. If you donate to a cause you believe in, that's not sacrifice. You value living in a world where that cause is advanced. You're investing in something you care about. Rand's point was this: help should come from genuine care, not from guilt, from choice, not from obligation. The problem with the morality of sacrifice is that it tells you to help people even when you don't want to, even when it destroys you, even when they don't deserve it or appreciate it. That's not kindness. That's self-destruction masquerading as virtue. Rational selfishness means helping when it aligns with your values, when it's something you genuinely want to do, and being honest when it's not. You're not required to set yourself on fire to keep others warm, but you're absolutely free to share your warmth when you choose to. Objection 2. Doesn't this create a cruel society where everyone only cares about themselves and ignores suffering? This objection assumes that without forced sacrifice, people would be monsters. That the only thing stopping cruelty is moral obligation to put others first. Rand rejected this completely. A society based on rational selfishness isn't a society of isolated sociopaths. It's a society of traitors. People who deal with each other through voluntary exchange, mutual benefit, and respect for each other's rights. Think about it logically. In a truly rational society, people understand that cooperation is in their self-interest. That honesty builds trust, which creates opportunity. That respecting others' rights protects your own. Violence, theft, fraud. Those are irrational. They destroy the conditions you need to flourish. A rational person doesn't want to live in a world of constant conflict and fear. And here's the real point. The most cruel societies in history weren't built on selfishness. They were built on sacrifice. On the idea that individuals must be sacrificed to the collective, to the state, to the race, to the revolution. Nazi Germany demanded sacrifice for the Volk. Soviet Russia demanded sacrifice for the proletariat. Every dictatorship runs on the morality of sacrifice, because sacrifice is what allows some people to be used as fuel for others. Rational selfishness says, nobody is fuel. Nobody is a tool. Every person has the right to exist for their own sake. That's not cruel. That's the only moral foundation for a free society. The world doesn't need more people sacrificing themselves. It needs more people who respect themselves enough to respect others. Who understand that your rights end where another person's begin. Who build instead of destroy. Rational selfishness isn't about ignoring others. It's about dealing with them as equals, as sovereign individuals, as traitors, not as masters and slaves. Let me show you what transformation looks like when someone actually understands rational selfishness. This is the story of Alex. Not a real person, but a composite of patterns I see constantly. Before the life of sacrifice, Alex was taught to be good, and being good meant saying yes to everyone, all the time. His family needed help. He canceled his plans. His friends needed money. He loaned it, even when he couldn't afford it. His coworkers needed coverage. He stayed late again. He told himself he was being kind, generous, selfless. But here's what his life actually looked like. He was exhausted. His own projects never got finished because he was always helping someone else. His savings were empty because he kept bailing people out. His relationships were one-sided because he attracted people who took and never gave back. And the worst part? Nobody respected him for it. His family took his help for granted. His friends called when they needed something and disappeared when they didn't. His boss piled more work on him because he never said no. Alex felt angry, resentful, used, but he couldn't admit it because admitting it would mean he was selfish. And selfish was the worst thing you could be. So he stayed trapped, sacrificing himself, resenting everyone, and feeling guilty for the resentment. That's what the morality of sacrifice does. It doesn't make you noble. It makes you a martyr who hates the people you're martyring yourself for. After the life of rational selfishness, then something changed. Alex read The Virtue of Selfishness. And for the first time, someone gave him permission to care about his own life. He started small. He said no to covering a shift at work. His coworker was annoyed. Alex felt guilty. But he used that evening to work on his own project instead. He set a boundary with his parents. I can visit once a month, not every week. They were upset. They called him selfish. He held the boundary anyway. He stopped loaning money to friends who never paid him back. Some of those friends got angry and stopped calling. Alex realized they were never friends at all. They were users. At first, it felt wrong, selfish, cruel. But then he noticed something. His own life started improving. With time for his own projects, he finished the certification program he'd been putting off for years. With boundaries at work, he got promoted because his own performance improved. With better boundaries and relationships, he attracted people who actually valued him, not just what he could do for them. He had energy again, motivation, hope. And here's the transformation that surprised him most. He became kinder, not in the doormat way he used to be, but genuinely kind, from choice rather than guilt. When a friend genuinely needed help, Alex was there. But now it was because he wanted to be, not because he felt obligated. The help felt good because it came from care, not from resentment. When he donated to causes, it was because he believed in them, not because he felt guilty for having money. When he spent time with family, it was quality time, because he chose to be there, not because he was guilted into showing up. Rational selfishness didn't make Alex cruel. It made him free. Free to build the life he actually wanted. Free to have relationships based on mutual respect instead of guilt. Free to help people because he chose to, not because he was afraid of being called selfish. That's what this philosophy does. It doesn't turn you into a monster. It turns you into a person who respects your own life enough to live it well. And when you respect your own life, you stop resenting others for living theirs. You stop seeing every interaction as a battle between your needs and theirs. You start seeing the possibility of win-win, of mutual benefit, of actual love instead of obligation. This is what Ayn Rand meant when she called selfishness a virtue. Not because cruelty is good, but because self-respect is the foundation of everything else. You can't build a good life on self-destruction. You can't love others if you hate yourself. You can't give value if you've sacrificed everything valuable about yourself. The virtue of selfishness is the virtue of living like your life matters, because it does. So let's bring this together. The virtue of selfishness isn't what you were taught to fear. It's not about being cruel, manipulative, or destructive. It's not about using people or ignoring suffering. It's about understanding that your life belongs to you, that you have the right to pursue your own happiness through reason, that you don't exist to be sacrificed and neither does anyone else. Rational selfishness means dealing with others as a traitor, not as a master or a slave. It means offering value and receiving value. It means building relationships based on choice, not guilt. And most importantly, it means rejecting the false choice between being a monster or being a martyr. You don't have to destroy others or destroy yourself. There's a third option. Live rationally for your own sake, while respecting the same right in others. Here's your challenge. This week, notice when you say yes out of guilt instead of genuine desire. Notice when you sacrifice yourself not because you want to help, but because you're afraid of being called selfish. And then ask yourself, what would I do if I believed my life actually mattered? You don't have to change everything overnight. But start paying attention. Start questioning whether the person you're being good to is yourself. Because you deserve a life you actually want to live, not a life spent apologizing for existing. If this video helped you see selfishness differently, hit the like button. If you recognized yourself in these patterns, drop a comment and let me know which part resonated most. And subscribe to the Rand Lens, because we're going to keep breaking down Ayn Rand's ideas and showing you how they apply to your real life. No academic jargon. Just clear thinking for people who want to live rationally. Your life is yours. Start acting like it.